Alright everyone, welcome to Jackasses of the Week. Last time I did one of these, really pissed some people off. Took a few weeks off of wrestling. That's a whole other story. This has nothing to do with wrestling. This is all about, I don't even know whether to talk about the government. It's not, well, part of it is, I guess, technically political, but I don't even know, like, this first part of it, I don't even know who runs, like, I literally don't care about politics so much. I don't know whether the governor of Indiana or whoever signed this stupid law I'm about to talk about is Republican or Democrat, because to me either side sucks. Okay, if you're picking sides, you suck. If you're this is my political statement. If you're a politician and you're basing your views around your personal beliefs and not some stupid, oh, I gotta go with this because this is what my party wants, then you're a good politician. Otherwise, you're just a puppet. That's all you'll ever be. That's all politicians will hardly ever be, is puppets, unless we get some actual people in there that want to actually change things and not pretend like politics is some like baseball or football game where there's two teams involved and whatever team wins. It's not about that. It's about everybody winning. Anyway, that's my political statement. You can tell where I stand on that. I have no party affiliations. I ain't part of one of them little parties. I don't even know what they're all called. They all have different names. It's just you put labels on what you're running for, and I know they have to do that because if people don't run for this party or that party, they're not going to get elected, and that's the problem. But anyway, I'm not trying to make this whole thing political. I'm going to try to move into my thing. I live in Indiana, obviously. I just said, even though I'm wearing an Ohio State hat because I'm originally from Ohio. Go Buckeyes always. Sorry, Hoosiers suck. But speaking of that, I wore this hat after we beat IU in the play. I think it was either the playoffs or the game. I can't remember. I believe it was the first game of the playoffs. But anyway, we beat IU, and I would literally like get people staring at me and making comments about it with my hat. I should have worn a different hat. It was the same day too. But anyway, I don't care. But anyway, I live in Indiana, and I just seen that they just passed they've been passing all kinds of stupid laws. Like they're gonna have toll roads now on the interstate, which is another money grab that they're trying for. Like, it's bad enough we got to pay tolls to go to Kentucky unless you take the stupid 2nd Street Bridge downtown, downtown Louisville, where semi almost fell off the thing. The bridge is so stupid small. Anyway, it's bad enough we got to pay that, but now they want them on interstates. But I'm not even that pissed off about that anymore. Just avoid the interstate. There's plenty of other roads. You don't need the stupid interstate. But this one, and this one doesn't even affect me. It would have if I still had kids in school. So anybody out there with kids in school in Indiana that hasn't heard about this, you've probably been living under a rock. But they passed a law saying that no absences at all, no matter what it is. It can be a death in the family. It can be COVID. It could be, being sick, mental health problems, going in for surgery. Anything, literally anything will count against your absences as, they'll technically still be excused a certain amount, but you used to get a certain amount of excused days before they would count towards your, like, days when the school's sitting there like, ooh, can't wait to call CPS on you. And yes, they do that. I don't care what anybody says. I'll get into some of that in a little bit. But those days used to count as, you get a certain amount of days, and then they would start counting towards actual, like, unexcused absences. But now, no absence at all will count that. Doesn't matter what's going on with you. Your kid can be autistic and have trouble being in school. Your kid can have depression issues. Like I said, literally somebody can die. I remember when I was in school, I can't remember if it was 3 or 5 days, but you would get out if, a family member died. Whether it was it had to be like, you couldn't be like your, like, distant cousin you've never seen before or something, but, grandma, grandpa, parents, siblings, God forbid any of that happen to any kids, but it does. But it don't matter in Indiana anymore. Hey, my mom and dad died in a car crash last night. Well, if you don't get in, well, who they gonna call CPS on then? Sorry, I'm jumping ahead here, and I'm just, like I said, this don't even affect me because I don't have kids in school, but I got a grandson that'll be in school, and I know people that have got kids that are gonna have to abide by this. And like I said, it's not, they're again trying to overreach here. They're trying to make sure everybody goes to school and all this other stuff. But first of all, what about 2020 when all the schools are shut down and they started the virtual stuff? You're telling me they can't do some kind of virtual replacement when it's just so stupid. They've already taken away snow days, basically. You only get like maybe one or two. Everything else has to be virtual. Back when I went to school, if it was a snow day, stay home and play. Give kids a freaking rest. I know I've talked about how some kids these days have it better than we did, but there's some ways that they have it worse than we did. And that's one of them. They don't, and like I was talking about on my podcast the other day about, because it was back in 1990 when I was going to kindergarten, the difference between kindergarten now and then. Like, you got to know so much these days, even just to start kindergarten. And, they make it too hard these days on these kids. And I know that's probably going to surprise people. Like I'm the champion of the, I hate the give a trophy to everybody generation and all that stuff. But like I said, there's different levels. There's different levels where things were easier on us and harder on kids, and harder on us and easier on today's kids. But like I said, let me get back to my point. There's kids, trust me, I've known with my own kids, there's days when they need a mental health day, and it's not just I feel sad so I don't want to go to school. It's genuine, actual things, actual medical diagnoses. That's not a word. I think of diagnoses. Anyway, diagnosis. Not a language professor here, but there's actual mental, reasons why kids sometimes need a day. And I'm not talking about 4 or 5 weeks at a time. If that's happening, then your kid probably should, I won't say lock them up, but probably should think about some kind of a long-term care facility, if they can't function, to get help. I'm not saying, lock them away because they're messed up in the head. I'm just saying, if you can't function that long, then they need some kind of therapy to help them with that. But my point is if they need a day or two here and there, not all the time, it should be excused. If somebody freaking in your family dies, you shouldn't have to go. How do you expect the kids to go to school? They're just supposed to sit there and cry all day in class and not get anything done, and then get made fun of because of that? It's so ridiculous. It's absolutely mind-blowing that they're doing this. And again, they're not saying that you got to go to school or the police are going to come and get you, but eventually they will, because you get a certain amount of absences. It used to be you get some excused before they start becoming unexcused, but a certain amount, I think it's like 10 before CPS gets involved or something like that. I don't know the exact thing. I'm sure some people out there can look it up. But it's like not even a big number. I know 10 absences for a school year for some people seems like a lot for those that had perfect attendance. But some things add up. People with COVID, they get it, what is it, 3 days, 5 days? I don't know what it is now that you're not supposed to be around people. And you literally will get in trouble. I've literally seen schools call CPS for sending kids to school that they know have COVID. Okay, so you're in a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Send your kids to school with COVID. Oh, you're in trouble for infecting other kids. Don't send them to school. Oh, they missed a certain amount of days already, so now we're calling CPS. It's bullshit. And not just COVID, any sickness, There's times when kids have the flu, when kids have bronchitis, serious illness, pneumonia, and nowadays you gotta like, well, let's see, grandma died. Okay, we got grandma died, but then the kids already missed 3 days this year with the flu, and then we got all this stuff going on around this time. They might be sad, so I don't know if I can send, it's just grandma. That's the freaking choice the parents are going to have to make now. they're going to have to pick and choose what they do, and many times they're going to be screwed anyway. And it's absolute bullshit. And it's all this damn CPS shit. Now, I'm sorry I don't normally cuss on these videos, but I can't help it. CPS has been not just a thorn in my side. They've been... You talk about... I don't know how far I'm going to get banned for this, but almost terroristic levels that these people are. And I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. CPS overreaches today because they did nothing back when I was a kid for my generation, so now they're overstepping to try to overcorrect the things that they didn't do then, and it's bullshit. I told the story, many different stories. One of the first stories I had, first times I dealt with CPS is when one of my kids was like literally kicking and biting me. They were like 2 years old and had anger management issues, obviously. So I was sitting with them outside the library, you know, trying to hold their arms and legs down because they were hurting themselves and hurting me. And I was trying to combat that. But oh no, we're going to call CPS. We saw you beating your kid and you were holding him down. You're sitting there right in front of the library with the camera outside. So that was easily proven wrong. And then there's another time when one of our kids had... I think it was marker or makeup or something on their leg, and they're oh, you got burnt with a curling iron. We didn't even have a curling iron, but literally CPS came to the house. They said, this kid's got a burn on their leg. We're gonna need to take him to the doctor. It's like, it's not a burn, it's makeup, or I think it was makeup. And go wash it off. Oh, can you wait while they wash it off, or we'll do it right here? No, I will come back in the morning and take him to the doctor. So the kid got a bath at night, and what do you know? The burn washed away. So they came back in the morning. Oh, it's gone. Not even oh, we're sorry. It's, oh, after 30 days when we come in, we have to come in and inspect your home. Like, why? There was literally no abuse. All they love to come in and inspect the home to find anything wrong. And you got to keep your place spotless if you have kids. I'm telling you now, because CPS is out of their fucking minds. I'm sorry. They are. You'll find all kinds of horror stories. Ask any parent with kid problems, any kind of behavioral problems, and this isn't even anything about whether you should spank your kids or not. It has nothing to do with that. We've never even been investigated for spanking our kids. It's always been this stupid crap. The last thing was one of our kids they were either 16 or 17 and didn't want to go to therapy. And, you know, you can't force a kid to go to therapy. You know, even if they have mental issues, you still can't force them to go if they're not wanting to go, you know. But it was only, and it wasn't like they just stopped going. It was like 2 or 3 weeks they didn't want to go. So, literally, they called CPS. My wife's therapist called them, who was supposed to keep some stuff confidential. It's not like my wife said, oh, I beat the kids or something. It was, you know, saying, well, what am I supposed to do? Carry her in? And literally, they said, well, you're supposed to make her go. How do you make somebody go to therapy at 16 or 17? What are you supposed to do? Pick them up over your head and carry them through the door? And then what? If you set them down and they got marks on their arms for picking them up, then you beat them? It's so fucking stupid. So anyway, we got a 6-month case for that, for not making them go to therapy. And it's so ridiculous. And then the house wasn't up to their standards. So then they sent a woman in literally every single week on Tuesday, would come over. And no matter what I did to this place, no matter how much I scrubbed it, I would miss a spider web behind a damn garbage can. And I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I'd miss a damn spider web behind a garbage can. And they would look, oh, we got to get this fixed for next time or I'm going to have to write a report. And they come and check the water and check all this stuff. First of all, the freaking water is paid for by the place. We don't even pay for it. The only thing we pay for here that has to be on, like, utility-wise is the damn electric. And we ain't ever had that shut off. But anyway, we dealt with them for 6 months. And I just reached a breaking point where, like, I can't deal with this anymore. But I pushed through, and it's hard because so many times having to deal with those people, and you know the stigma that comes with it. People see them at your door like, oh, look at them, they're beating their kids. That's why whenever I see people have CPS called on them, I don't rush to judgment at all, unless something comes out that they did something, because it's just so much crap. And then the real crappy thing of it is that there's actual people out there abusing their kids, doing drugs with their kids in their freaking laps, taking them on drug deals, beating them, neglecting them, and these people, either nothing happens to them, or they just get to cry their way out of it or something, or they don't step in time. When is it gonna stop? I don't know what exactly needs to happen other than some kind of overhaul, reform to the system, because they are destroying families, and they're not even protecting kids that need it. And like I said, it all goes back to that stupid law that really got me thinking about this, because I hate to say this, but I was so glad when my kids turned 18 where I wasn't responsible for them anymore, as far as make them go to school, they have to do this, they have to, not because I didn't love them, but because it was so I'm almost at tears now talking about it. So stressful. Just not even when CPS wasn't involved. Just like if my kid goes to school, literally they would go to school. Sometimes they would get a scratch from a tree, and sometimes we get a call about it. And luckily, not everyone went to CPS, but we get a call about, oh, do you know about this? It's like, yes, they were climbing a tree. We're sorry, but I would literally most parents are like, oh man, school's out, now the kids are gonna be home the whole time, I don't get my break anymore. I was actually glad for the times the school was out, because there wouldn't be some teacher that sometimes they mean well, sometimes they're overreaching and like, oh, I'm gonna call CPS now, I got me another one. But I would be so glad when the school was out, so that way, like, well, nobody's gonna report them. No one should have to live like that. And, it's living in fear every day. Are they going to take the kids away? Or are we going to get arrested? Are we going to have to... Like that last time, I had to take a drug test. Like with the kid that wouldn't go to therapy. I had to take a drug test. I've never been so insulted in my life. If you know me, I've never once touched any kind of drug, whether anybody thinks something should be legal, or drugs that definitely shouldn't be legal, or whatever. That's not the issue here, but I've never done anything like that, and just the fact I had to take a test to prove that, I don't know, something that ate at me more than almost anything. But anyway, it's so, and it's obvious they were looking for something with that. Like, oh, hope we can get some meth parents. We live in a trailer park, they must be on meth. I know I try to put a little humor in these videos, but I got none for today. This law is appalling. It is absolutely bullshit garbage. And if it didn't lead to the consequences, then it wouldn't matter. It's just statistics. If they need it for statistic keeping for school, which is what they claim is what it is. Oh, we just need to make sure we got the right amount of this and this and this. But no, it literally says in the thing about the amount of days you miss it, or a reminder that they'll call CPS on you. A DCS, whatever it's called in your area. I've always called it CPS. I think it's DCS around here, but I've still called them CPS. Child Protective Service, Division of Children's Services, whatever. These people should be helping. They should be doing things for people and saving kids and helping families. We had to deal with them one time down in Vivi when we lived there. It was the only good experience we had with them. They actually helped us with things. They helped us get a vacuum. They helped us get some stuff to get our apartment, completely up to shape. And we actually got along with them, and they were actually a help. But any other ones have always been just out for blood. They don't want to help. There's on the paper it says, we're trying to keep families together and all this other shit, but they're not. They want to ruin lives. And if you think I'm just making this up because I had to deal with them or stuff, ask people, ask around, and not just the perfect families with the kids with no problems. Ask with kids that have mental issues, that have issues with behavior, that won't listen to their parents, or maybe and I'm not saying every parent out there that's investigated is innocent or anything like that. There's a bunch of crap parents that get their kids taken away, and they deserve it. There's parents that get their kids taken away that just need help, that the system's supposed to try to help them so they get their kids back. And but then there's also the times when there's literally nothing going on and they're just overreaching. And this law, and I'm trying to wrap it up, I know I've been rambling on for 20 something minutes, but this law is going to do nothing but cause trouble, lead to even more parents having to go through this bullshit CPS crap, and it's just going to hurt things. The missed attendance stuff, and even without the unexcused absences, even if they were all excused up to a certain point, like they were up until now, is still, there's times when kids are going to have to miss, and it's not because their parents aren't sending them to school. I've never kept a kid home from school and be like, I don't think you should go today. It don't matter. There's been times that kids haven't wanted to go, and they've, this happened and this happened, and you don't know whether something actually happened or they just don't want to go. And I know with one of my kids, they never wanted to get up in the freaking morning, and that was a struggle. And they ended up, luckily with that one, they ended up having to go down to probation, and had to deal with it themselves. Because see, when I was in school, I've told a story about me skipping school and sitting in the woods and stuff, and I make all the jokes about that. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not making a single joke on this video. But when that happened to me, I got in trouble. Yeah, my mom had to take me to court, and I told this story the other day on the podcast. So if you watch that, I'm retelling it. But I had to go down to court. Like I said, my mom had to take me, but I was the one that got sentenced to community service. I was the one I don't know if I was on probation or whatever it is for a kid, but I had community service, and the fine I had to pay off, not my mom. Literally the only thing she had to do was take me downtown, which, if you know my mom, she hates driving downtown. I guess that was half a joke there, but that was the worst punishment for her. But I had to deal with it. Nowadays, it's usually the parents that get in trouble for their kids not going, and that's either here nor there, whether you should make a kid go to school if they won't go, and whose fault it is and everything else. But at the end of the day, no parent should have the threat of having their kids taken away, or even their freedom taken away, because of missing school. Especially in the days of virtual like now, it blows my mind. And like I said, what if someone gets COVID, and not just the regular amount of days out, but gets it bad to where they have weeks of health problems? I mean, what if some kid gets hit by a car and is, and goes through back surgeries, and I don't want any of this happen, obviously, but have all these surgeries and can't go to school for weeks, and what if kids just can't deal with the freaking bullying and crap, because it's always, that's another issue, but it's always the kids that retaliate against the bullies that get caught. It's never the bullies. And that's been that way for years, since I was a kid, and I guarantee way before then. So that's not anything new that's happening today. But it's, stop punishing people just because you want to make a stupid law because it's all about damn money, about schools make sure they get their government funds because they got to get a certain amount of kids in a certain amount of days or they lose funding. So they put pressure on the lawmakers, and the lawmakers are, oh, here, we'll just sign, yeah, we'll sign a law, yeah, CPS can get some more people, we'll all get happy. It's, none of it makes any sense. It's bullshit, and sorry I rambled on forever on this one, but it's just, something's been eating at me. Like, I was doing my podcast the other day about, it was February of 1990, and I was talking about my experience in kindergarten, and something just made me think of this law, and I started rambling on about that, and I was like, I gotta stop. And then I was thinking later on, like, I just need to make my own video of this one. But anybody who works with CPS out there, if you got a different opinion, you want to debate on this, go ahead, because I'll sit there and debate you all day. Not everyone, but a lot of you people that have worked there, and I don't know about currently, I don't know if the same people are there or not, but scum of the earth, all you want to do is ruin families. Like I said, it's not everyone, but some of the ones we've dealt with, and you know, I'm not ashamed to say that we've dealt with them many times, because it's all been bullshit. You're not gonna find any damn convictions on my record for child abuse. We got charged for it one time, but it was, you know, dropped. But, you know, that's all, you know, I don't need to prove myself on here. I know what, you know, and I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent. Obviously, I've made tons of mistakes. Parents make mistakes. They got to be able to make mistakes. And I'm not talking beating a kid in the head or something is a mistake. That's definitely not a mistake. But I'm talking about, you know, what do you do about this situation? What do you do about this situation, you know? If we're going to start arresting parents for getting things wrong, then there'll be no parents left. There'll just be kids roaming the street. CPS will have to arrest themselves. I guarantee you they can do what they want to kids, because they're not going to get investigated, and I'll leave it at that. But anyway, the law is bullshit, and I've seen people on there say, oh, it only means this and this. No, it literally means what it says. It's not some hidden thing where it says, oh, you're not allowed to miss any days at all. Like, you can miss the days, but they're going to be unexcused. And there is no excuse for that. I'll see you next time.